YouTube, you already know, Real Talk with Flacco, coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. As you can tell by the thumbnail, man, we're going to get straight to it. This is a very delicate and sensitive subject. I had to wait a couple days to approach it and think about how I was going to approach it. And I listened to Gunner's video, and that made it a little bit more easier for me to assess the whole situation that happened in High Desert with the young man Taz, Chris Leap, being killed about, this was in 2021, around February. People need to recognize that prison politics have a course. And within every faction, you have what you call due process. And what due process means is you conduct an investigation. You run a full investigation before you make a decision, okay? You don't just instantly go off everything. You investigate who, what, where, when, why. You know what I'm saying? So when someone is accused of any type of infraction or breach of law or breach of security, decisions just don't get made like that. You know, you could take a year just to have someone deemed no good or cleared sometimes. There's been dudes that have been on freeze for years. You know, Dancing Bear was on freeze forever one time, a couple of years almost, you know what I mean? You conduct proper R&I, and then you do a further assessment, and then you do a further evaluation of the person's, character analysis and so forth, and then you recognize, is the offense serious enough to either salvage someone's career or deem them no good? Point blank, man. So that could explain the reasons why this thing happened 2.5, 3 months later when dude ended up getting hit. It's unfortunate that it happened. Part of the responsibility needs to go upon him. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, I can't understand that how come a place like High Desert, and hearing him speak in the video when he's talking about, talking bad on SNYs and how they act and how honorable it was to be inactive and so forth. I don't get how, that whole scenario was not further addressed, because a level 4 facility, you would think that there would be strict expectations. No, you're not even supposed to communicate sometimes without people knowing. And the thing that gets me is how come nobody knew about this beforehand? He didn't tell a celly, he didn't tell anybody, that just didn't report it. That's pretty much keeping a closed lid on everything, man. As we know, man, part of the responsibility has to go upon him, period. Part of the responsibility has to go upon, the people that made the decision. You know what I'm saying? Whoever it may be, saying it's not my business. If it was over this, someone that young, it's been a long time since I've heard someone get hit that young who didn't have any type of charges where they disrespected the NF or where they didn't, commit some type of improper statements or telling. It's been years. Usually that's going to happen with someone that age bracket if they get hit and took it out. Most of the time, someone that's a little bit older who's teeter-tottering with the politics and so forth, or teeter-tottering with listening what's expected, man. And so, first and foremost, man, cell phones. Okay, you get in debt with a cell phone, right? $2,400, $4,000, whatever the fee may be. Okay, you don't get that money back by killing the man. You know what I'm saying? And the way that the NF operates, first and foremost, would be you utilize that person for as much as you can until they're no longer useful, and then you expose them. That's the truth of it. When someone messes up that bad to where you can still exploit them, they're not a household risk or threat yet, those are the type of measures you'll take. You know what I'm saying? Deal with them afterwards. You know what I'm saying? And it's up to him being negligent and naive to expectations. His persona was like he knew about the functions and operations, so I don't understand how he didn't know that him doing this would, not be in a favorable situation. Now, say he had other allegations on him, right? Okay, I'm gonna go further to why I've been told 100% why he's been hit. And whatever the other infractions are, they become irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? He was hit basically, man. I didn't know all this information. So when I've previously talked about this, I teeter-tottered on it. I said, I don't know. I don't think this was favorable, but I've been told 100% that this hit happened because of the cell phone video. Not the cell phone, excuse me, the video that he did. So there's a little bit of partial blame basically upon himself, as well as the channel that decided to publish it. You know what I'm saying? And, you can't make excuses for the matter regardless, because he elected to put himself out there. The other person published it. Maybe he didn't understand that if you don't understand the velocity of how North Daniel politics are, then maybe sometimes you maybe want to take a step back, especially if someone's in your ear saying like, look, man, this does not sound right. I wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially one who was up within those functions. You know what I'm saying? You know, I never made no policy or nothing like that, but I enforce policy. You know what I'm saying? And I know what the policy would be on that. And already with this dude's track record, he would be deemed unsalvageable based upon the cell phones keep on coming up missing. He owes money, especially if the cell phones roll to another group segment. It's not that the household can't come up with the money because they're making money on those yards. It's the principle of the continuous misact. You know what I'm saying? And I think it took a couple months to make a decision. Maybe they were on lockdown. You got to remember, COVID-19 was going on. A lot of them weren't coming out for program and so forth. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want to wait. And if they're not an immediate threat, but they have to go, what I mean by an immediate threat, they're not going to take off on nobody. They're not going to endanger anybody further. But what they did, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you wait. You wait till you get to the yard. Wait till you get the right soldier that you want to do it. Because there's a lot of soldiers that are either trying to make that hit, because nowadays, if you want to advance within to gain C status, one thing that they have within the en soldado functions or northern functions is what you call an SKP, superior killing power, which is the whole purpose for someone to take a life. It's usually consists of 2 to 3 individuals, and their whole purpose is to go in and take someone's life. You know what I'm saying? And part of that is this could be considered as elevation for the future for their C status. You know what I'm saying? I've read that word for word. I had it when I was in Corcoran. I educated people on it. So that may be the reason why it didn't happen right away. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, was this really necessary? You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. Sometimes you need to set an example. And maybe talking on channels that interview and publicly display our functions and publicly deal with people on SMY, maybe this was an example that needed to be set. So then, therefore, no one else is ever going to do it again. You know, it's unfortunate that maybe he was used as a pawn in that piece, but, you know what I'm saying, you have to know your DNRs as far as a soldado that you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I figured they'd probably remove him and hit him and he'd be done. You know what I'm saying? I remember I told Tony that, and Tony actually told him to go SNY. And he actually said that he was all good and whoa. You know, so there's a lot of responsibility on everybody's end. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this game is this, man. If anything can come of this, man, we can come to an understanding that how serious life can be and how precious it is. And that we can't just toy with things just because we want. This was recently addressed, man. I found out that, you know, I was told that, you know, this was 100% factual, like no other reason why. And the person, you know, that told me, you know what I'm saying, another YouTube channel, I took it for what it is. I believed them because I know the person, but at the same time, in the back of the mind, I'm not going to lie, there was that little bit of doubt. You know what I'm saying? You know, was this, you know, becoming personal? But I got to remember that everybody has resources that I don't have. And then I had to look at the character of this individual that regardless, when it comes to something that extreme, they're not going to bullshit me, you know? And what ended up happening is, as recently as last night, I got messages from 2 people. One, I can't say the location, right? But people that I can corroborate information that can tell me what's factual, what's not. And they told me without a doubt, 100%, that it was accurate information. Now, you guys know we've brought a lot of groundbreaking stories before they even have gotten to the GP side. You know what I'm saying? So you know the extent of our sources. And this was told to me, I mean, and it was kind of shocking because part of me, I wanted to doubt that it was over a video. You know what I'm saying? Because then I feel like, did I do enough? Did I, you know, express my concerns enough to you know, the channel that posted that video? You know what I mean? Which I know I did. You know, at the end of the day, I have no control over what they do. And, you know, sometimes you do things and you expect people to understand what you're saying, and that based upon your rapport and your past experience and credentials and that you're competent in what you say, you think that they're going to take heed to what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes things get pushed, you know what I mean? I guess apparently, you know, the dude that got whacked was pushing for this video because he needed that money. You know what I'm saying? But still, at the end of the day, man, like, there was already those red flags that were put out there. Like, nah, this doesn't sound right. This wouldn't be acceptable under any circumstances, you know. And, you know, this was told to me through 2 people. One of them, like one of them so credible that I can't doubt, man. And it just kind of bothered me a little bit, man. You know, I wasn't going to really I was thinking about a couple days doing a video, and I've been teeter-tottering about thinking, man. It's like, man, I don't want to sit there and seem like I'm being negative or, you know, attacking anybody or whatnot, because I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to put the reality of that Prison politics are very delicate. If you're not within those functions or expectations, be very careful in how you tread, especially if you're dealing with active individuals, because either you can get caught up. The active individual may have a different ulterior motive, or he may be crossing up that active individual. Different groups have different responsibilities and different rules and different regulations, you know what I mean, as far as what could be put out there, who could do interviews and so forth, you know what I mean? And just knowing this kid's age and hearing the interview, I can understand that he was probably striving. He was a believer in what he was doing, but at the same time, he wasn't fully had to have a full scope or grasp of things, and as content creators, man, like I had an active on there, but we one time, but we concealed his name and his identity. You know what I'm saying? And made sure it wasn't put out there where it would be known. Did little things with the voice a little bit, changed everything up, but this was a while ago. You got to think what can happen by what you do, and so you have to really, check your moral compass. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. You can't check your moral compass after the fact. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the whole blame doesn't just go one direction on this, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? He's just as the person's just as accountable who wanted to do it as the person who posted the video. You know what I'm saying? But you can't claim being naive or naive as an excuse. You get what I'm saying? Because when you do that, you're spinning the narrative and making excuses over every scenario. The prison political world is very sensitive, man. You know what I'm saying? And there are certain things about these particular groups that if you go down a certain path, you're going to have these type of consequences and repercussions. You know what I mean? This may have just been an example being set to the rest of everybody that's on GP side, never to do a fucking interview. What's the best way to do it? An example? Fucking hit them. Because this is when all the prison genre channels started to blow up a little bit, and to have their soldados refrain from doing that, you got to take necessary action. It's different on the SNY side. You know what I'm saying? I've never been there, but apparently it is because they're doing interviews. End of the day, like I said, man, it's, a terrible thing, man. I'm saying that it happened. I feel kind of like, how do you say it, man? I feel like there should be more of an effort to figure out how his family feels or how they're doing or what type of support they need. You know what I'm saying? He's not here no more. But what about his family? Did he have any kids? Did he have any of this and that? Did he have a lady? I mean, what could be done on that end? You know what I'm saying? I've touched on this before on my Patreon Patreon page and members page a long time ago. I wasn't going to put this kind of stuff on the public platform. I touched on it about a year ago, this whole scenario. And I wanted to believe that it was just over some cell phones and that, that part of the factor was that, that doing the interview fucking just pushed him to fucking say, a rap. And my first thought was maybe he owed some money to some other races. But I've been told it's different. You know what I'm saying? And me knowing, right, I can't deny how, the NF's going to operate. And the NF is a money-based organization. And when someone owes money, you know what I mean, there's no incentive in getting rid of them. You know what I'm saying? Especially at that young of age when they could be utilized. You're not going to see your money if you fucking whack them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the truth of it. You know what I'm saying? And so, maybe that was also the scenario. Maybe they were waiting to hit the dude as well until he paid off his debt. Maybe he paid off his debt. Now they decided to whack him. That's how they operate. That's just the truth of it. Once you've committed certain acts that are deemed unsalvageable by the collective, they do not care how they utilize you or how they exploit you or how they hurt you. If you're a righteous individual, these things wouldn't be tolerated. You get what I'm saying? Even though it happens, there's some bad scenarios. Like I said, there's a lot of good garnals, there's a lot of bad garnals. You know what I'm saying? If you're around a good one, you'll see it. You'll see the household flourish. If you're around a bad one, you'll see a whole bunch of fucked up shit. So going over my education, my understanding, my grasp of things, and like I said from the get-go, I already knew it was a bad scenario. It should have never happened. I knew what the consequences could come of it. And in light of that, it's like sometimes I've had people reach out to me that were active from time to time. You know what I'm saying? And I make sure that I shelter them as far as I don't really want to get them crossed up based upon the fact that they reach out to me or talk to me. You know what I mean? I care about their sense of security. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not there as one that's trying to get information or anything like that. These are people maybe I interact with on a day-to-day basis or month basis. You know what I'm saying? And I don't exploit what they tell me, and I don't ask for nothing. You know what I'm saying? These are interactions I just have. The people as a character, they know me as a character. But you got to have that same type of precaution. You know, people have to trust that you're putting their safety and well-being first and foremost. And this is a good reminder for any of these other channels that decide they want to dive in with certain scenarios, man. We have to be very cautious in how we go about this. I think what made this, it wasn't always necessarily the interview that he did. I think that it was done on a channel that is prioritized by SNYs. That's what it came down to. If he was just on maybe a different other channel or something like that, I don't think the consequences would be the same. If he was out there on the streets and it wasn't an SNY channel and he was just talking and he wasn't breaching information, it wouldn't be an issue. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you're behind the walls and the way the North Daniels function, everything has to be reported, man. And so, based upon the fact that he lost 2 phones and he does the interview, that's the thing that kind of bugs me in this scenario was, maybe he just didn't have the mental capacity to deal with issues and think and make proper decisions. And that's where you have to fall back on the household. Was it really necessary to whack this dude? You can't fault someone for not having the knowledge, or maybe he just didn't listen. And what you call that is someone who's a detriment on your functions. When there's a pattern there over and over again, there comes a time when you do what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? But in taking someone's win, I can only emphasize that it would have to be to set an example. You know what I mean? And based upon him doing the interview. I didn't want to look at it from that standpoint, but now in getting honest and real and just, listening to Gunner spill, listening to what Boxer said, and, finding out on my own why they hit him. You know what I'm saying? Not just taking what, like each one of us YouTube channels, we have different resources. You know what I mean? There's some that we value more than others. There's some that are new that we can't corroborate. And there's some that stay in between. But when you get one that that's provided you fucking, information from actual filters before everybody else has them, actual intel that no one can disprove, and they tell you this, I have to take that at face value that it's legit. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to provide me information that's going to be with cross wires. Other person, that confirmed it, that corroborated it too. But then you also got the other channels corroborating it, man. And each one of us is tapped into different people that are going to provide us different information. Some people may like me, they may not like me. Some people may like this person, but not, or they may not. And that's just how the game works. So we're always getting information. It's the same way of running the household. Everything is based upon info. That's how YouTube channels are ran. You know what I'm saying? We start to know a lot of stuff about a lot of people, and there's all kinds of backdoor shit. And there's all types of people who want the truth to sometimes be exposed. And that's what's currently happening here. And if anything, this should be a reminder for people. If you're on a channel that's SNY based, that has that would be considered an opposition to one of these organizations, then don't consider doing any actives. Don't put them on your channel, because you can have a scenario that's just like this. You know what I'm saying? And I know that the person who put the video out there and published it, I know they didn't know any better. When it comes down to it, because they're not about that lifestyle or about those functions. But at the same time, remember, man, when someone who was about those functions advises you that would have a lot more education than this individual, you may want to listen to that, man. You may want to consider that. You know what I'm saying? You may want to run it by them. Should I do this or not? Because afterwards, you may have blood on your hands. And it's not a deliberate, malicious act that occurred here. No, I'm not saying any of that. But it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate that this young man lost his life. It's unfortunate that we're having to keep on addressing it. But the reality is that some things need to be put out there. You know what I'm saying? And the truth, the realities. You know what I'm saying? And, all that, the stuff that I see, the communications and everything, that's all good. You know what I mean? From the one channel. That's cool that those communications are going to happen. That doesn't dismiss what ended up occurring, though. Regardless if they were on board or whatnot, that's like passing the buck to them. You know what I'm saying? That's like giving a 3-year-old a cuete and not expecting them to go fucking do something bad or even hurt themselves. It's the same type of scenario. Oh yeah, they did it to themselves, but you knew what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Or you potentially maybe know, or you may not know at all. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, if other people are telling you and you deflect, it means you don't care. You got to consider that. You know what I'm saying? It's, I know YouTube is based upon views and pushing new content and things are fresh. And, we sometimes we get too excited and we get ahead of ourselves, man. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that, you know, this is just a wake up call. You know what I'm saying? And it was an aftermath issue that was forgotten. You know what I'm saying? At the time, I'm surprised it didn't get more attention when it really happened. And at the beginning, I didn't know when it first happened. Like I said, I tried to console the individual, like, it probably would have to be more. Because that's what I wanted to believe. You know what I'm saying? In the back of my mind, I knew that fucking video had a lot to do with why he got hit. But I found out it had everything to do with why he got hit. And that makes it a sad situation. You know what I'm saying? And where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, I mean, did he have kids? Does he have a family? Does he have all that? Those are the questions that needs to be asked. You know what I'm saying? And something needs to be done on their behalf. And if that's the case, then it shouldn't have took someone to put it out there for that to occur. That should occur from day one, regardless. I tried to figure out some things, man. What happened as far back as then, but then I kind of just stepped on back because sometimes it becomes a headache when you start to open things up. You start to see things maybe you don't want to see. So this is a real spill, man. This is real talk with Flacco. This is my perspective on it, man. Not just my perspective, but the facts that have been gathered. You know what I'm saying? And things happen in life. It doesn't mean that this has to be your defining moment, but how you react to this is what's going to define you in the future. Because if people want to dismiss it or spin the narrative or do this and that, people are going to categorize people with a whole fucking sense of what their true character is if they see that. No one wants to hear excuses. I was talking to an old timer, right? Old time guy now. You know what I'm saying? And he was telling me about some of our channels when they put out the reasons why they did what they did. He goes, I don't fucking need to hear that. It doesn't concern me. All I see is a fucking bunch of excuses. And that's the truth. Don't make excuses. Own up to it. When he said that, it made a lot of sense. We were referring to people who've defected or whatnot. And he said it's always the same story. Everybody has an excuse of why they did what they did. It doesn't matter. You did it. Period. Own it. That's all you have to say. And when he said that, man, it really clicked home. This is a dude that never ever did any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And he suffered the wrath of people doing that to him. But he's one that you would hold in high regard for his past and his credentials and so forth, man. So when he speaks and tells me things like this, I'm going to listen. And sometimes we let our emotions get on our sleeves. And we are more worried about what others think of us than being real about things. You know what I'm saying? That's just the truth of things. Anyways, it's your boy Flacco, man. I'm out.